Hello, this is Chloe Bruce speaking again about mental health and the UK economy. Um, this is about lots of discussions now about how to bring the long-term unemployed back into work, and they say they particularly want to encourage people with mental health diagnoses to go back into work. I have been diagnosed with schizophrenia a long while back, and I have actually worked whilst having this condition. And it wasn't the only thing that took me out of work, it was co-occurring conditions, but I also had immediately to cease employment because of a sudden viral attack, and it left me arthritic. I couldn't even type, my fingers were so painful. I think they have an oversimplified view of employment, and I would like to discuss this in something I've written here. Thank you. When I see politicians talking about putting in place measures to bring the people with mental health sick leave back into employment, could they have please looked at some of the root causes of illness in the psychiatric sense some decades earlier? I cannot speak for others, but I have tried to describe in my previous videos some of the root causes of my own mental health difficulties. First, if homes are not there for the workforce, where is incentive to work in an unfair economy? I have talked about my struggle to rent in London owing to the extremely high cost of renting in the capital. And this difficulty at that time was exacerbated by extremely high transport fares in London. Second, I have talked about the dangers and inefficiency of funneling people into working tax credit employment when the rules are not necessarily self-explanatory. Third, labelling the long-term unemployed under one homogeneous label, mentally ill, is hardly helpful when they have wholly distinct illnesses and perhaps some co-occurring conditions which may not have even been clearly defined by the medical profession. For example, epilepsy testing is not necessarily available for those experiencing seizure symptoms alongside their psychosis. Yet you might have indeed thought of this earlier. I had to have my epilepsy tests in Vienna, abroad, with a neurology team there. And I can say I still don't really say that they have anything but an extremely long waiting list for an EEG, for example, here in London. Fourth, a bit more gratitude from certain employers wouldn't go amiss. Why is the decency onus on the unemployed when they might not even agree with the ethics of some potential employers? Fifth, and finally, Parliament is so desperate, I feel, to nab council flats back that they are forcing desperately sick people back into employment when they do not even have security guarantees. Yes, you know what I mean. Finally, the root causes of mental health problems are actually quite well known. If the environment remains difficult for the individual who has this mental health problem or difficulty, as you might call it, for example, people's jealousy of money or sexual jealousy or workplace employment jealousy, then the person involved may not have any kind of sustained recovery. And overcrowded B&Bs for the homeless are hardly useful when it comes to tackling disease, while substandard mouldy homes are a death trap, and for the future workforce in the form of an infant. I clearly heard one housing minister in the government say that the councils would be given money to tackle the problem of lethal brown mould in council properties. I know for a fact that some tenants have not even had this offer to get it fixed. So what happened to all this money? Why doesn't Parliament take a good hard look at itself? Look hard and you'll see the utter disgrace you are.